もう一回言ってくれたら許す。
僕も悪いけど。
このズンベラボーのおたんちんめ、お姉ちゃんにバラすよ。すっごい情熱的にキスしてくれたって私のおっぱいを堪能して興奮のあまり。
わかったから。
じゃあ言って。
ナオリは今でも魅力的で僕の大切な人だ。
Love is Indivisible by Twins. This is episode number 5, and I still think in my heart of hearts, I still think that this is like the hidden gem of the season. This is one of the ones I don't see people talking about, and I genuinely do think it's still very good. Now, in reading some of my comments, you know, some of the things you guys posted on some of the past videos, and kind of really thinking, you know, about the commentary I've seen so far, the commentary I've provided to you guys, I can see why some folks maybe don't consider it a gem or they don't like it very much. And I can definitely see why some folks are dropping it. I think that one of the core things that this anime 100% does cover is the fact that what's going on here is a very fantastical situation, but it's kind of real too. You know, you have these twins, these little girls who moved in next door to a little boy, and by happenstance, by proximity, they got close to each other, and it makes sense that as they got older, they fell in love, and it makes sense that these two girls, they both get something different from June, and they both fell in love with him for different reasons, but regardless, they both fell in love. So it kind of seems far-fetched, but at the same time, it's kind of based in realism. The secondary thing to it is what has occurred so far with Rumi basically getting one up on Naori and her mishandling the situation, and then her mishandling the situation again and mishandling it again. It seems stupid and it seems silly, but it kind of makes sense to me because these are 15, like I think 15, maybe 16-year-old kids, okay? And when you think back, and maybe you're watching the video right now and you're that age, you know, the reality is, I'm sorry, like from a world's point of view, you're dumb. I remember when I was like that age, I thought I was hot shit. I thought I knew everything like every other teenager in the world. But the reality is like you're dumb and you don't quite know how to navigate a lot of the situations. You may have flashes of maturity, but really you're really immature. And it just really makes sense that the story is going the way that it's going. Like in this episode, right, June had the opportunity to, you know, go the distance with Naori, but for a lot of different reasons he decided not to. But then he kind of showed himself and had a really mature moment. Of course, it was surrounded by immature moments, but he had a really mature moment where he was like, you know, and he told Naori straight, I was thinking about breaking up with you because I just needed to kind of like, you know, take some time, really focus on like, what am I doing? What do I want? You know, all this stuff. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what you need to do. You didn't need to jump into another relationship, you know, whatever, a faux relationship. You needed to take some time and really sort out your feelings and really think about like, do you want to, even though she broke up with you, do you want to continue to try and pursue that until like it's just an impossibility, or do you truly move on? And then secondarily, is the person you move on to her sister? You know, like the reality is there's a lot of other, you know, they say there's a lot of other fish in the sea. And maybe you do end up back at her sister regardless, but I do think it's worth giving it time to really think over. So like, okay, he had a really mature moment, but it was surrounded by a ton of immature moments. His friend called him out like, oh, you ran away from making a decision. And right then and there, he needed to say, okay, definitively, like, I think you need to give me a month. You need to give me 6 weeks. You need to give me 2 weeks. You need to give me this much time. I need to just sit here and decide if I'm giving up on Rumi or if I'm, you know, moving on. So he, you know, his friend called him out, and he did legitimately run away from the situation. And then even now at the end of the episode, he's kind of put himself back in the situation with, you know, close proximity to them. Like, I genuinely think he needs to cut off ties with them for a while and then really think about, okay, do I go after Rumi or do I go after Naori? Or do I go after neither? And really think about what he wants, right? So again, a lot of immaturity there. And the same thing at the, towards the end of the episode, he goes and he begins talking to Rumi again and, getting flustered and, Rumi's getting flustered and she wants to be close to him too. And they agree to talk to each other, more. Like, that's the opposite of what needs to happen. They both need to make a decision. Rumi needs to make a decision. Do I 100% give up on, she needs to look in herself and be like, do I 100% give up on Jude? Or do I say, no, he's what I want and I made a stupid decision? And then Jude needs to do the same thing for himself. And then Rumi needs to decide as well, or Naori needs to decide as well, like, does she get out the way, or does she really pursue it? So I think the reason that this show might be off-putting to some is I genuinely think the things that are going to frustrate and annoy people are really based in realism, how 15, 16-year-old kids would handle this specific situation that they're going through. It would just be a fucking mess. And that's exactly what the show is. It's a mess, but in a really good way to watch. And I actually really like that. Now, this episode specifically, I will say, was a little bit of a nothing burger. Like, really, the only thing that we got here was, Naori kind of handling the situation and, coming forth and being like, okay, I know you lied. I know why you did X, Y, Z. I know, this is what happened, and I know why you're doing what you're doing. Then she went to Jude and did the same thing. I know what you've been doing. I know what's been going on, whatever. I'm still going to try and push the envelope. So she just made herself known. And then even Naori later on, she gets called out by her friend saying, like, all you did was play the side character that just gets the two main characters together. And Naori's like, well, I got bigger tits. I got bigger this. I got blah, blah, blah. And I'm, I think me and her friend were both like, yeah, okay, whatever that you do. Doesn't mean it's going to change, the situation. So I thought that was a cute and funny moment. So I'm genuinely still enjoying the show. I thought this episode, though, was, again, like I said, a little bit of a nothing burger. There wasn't a whole lot that went on this episode outside of Naori kind of like, setting shit in motion. And then obviously June and Rumi kind of reigniting that little flame that they had. But really, this was a little bit of a boring episode. I understand why folks may feel that way. Me, again, like I said, I still enjoyed it, but I have to recognize that, if I were to rank the 5 episodes that have occurred so far, this would be dead last as far as enjoyment, things that occurred, interest, drama. I think this would be the last. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on the show and the episode where we're at so far. Let me know your guys' thoughts, if you guys are continuing with it, if you're dropping it, or if you're kind of in that same field of mine I am. Wednesdays are pretty busy days. Oshinoko comes out today. Aaliyah Sometimes Hides Her Feelings, Peak, is out today. And there's a couple other shows. So Wednesdays are pretty busy. So I understand if folks are going to put this off or drop it. And I also understand if folks are going to like me or continue to watch it. So with that, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.